Chapter 71 Hogwarts will keep students safe. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Aaron looked at Dumbledore with kind eyebrows, gently stroked Abe's faucet, then straightened his sitting posture, chuckled and said, "I refuse, Headmaster, Professor Dumbledore, you are exaggerating. The man in black didn't even know that I had such a treasure in my hand, otherwise he wouldn't have run away last night. In other words, as long as you and the know keep it a secret, I'm safe." Dumbledore froze for a moment, as if he didn't expect the other party to refuse so simply and without hesitation. Hagrid stood aside expressionlessly. He hoped that Aaron would hand over the resurrection potion to Dumbledore for safekeeping. In his opinion, this was the most correct decision, but he offended Aaron one after another, and if he opened his mouth at this time, it might be counterproductive. "Aaron," Snape said with a suppressed smile, "you'd better think carefully about the headmaster's suggestion. It won't do you any harm. But it doesn't do any good either, does it? Handing over the precious heirlooms that can save your life to others for safekeeping?" Aaron teased, "Professor, how much water did I put into my head to make such a ridiculous decision? Also, to put it bluntly, I have been hurt several times these days, and I no longer dare to trust others casually." Hearing that, Snape felt speechless. They are just in case, to prevent Voldemort from finding another way to get the chance of resurrection, but asking Aaron to hand over his family heirloom would be somewhat disrespectful to him. Moreover, the value of that bottle of potion was too great, and he and Dumbledore were not familiar with each other, and there was no basis for trust between the two parties. This was no different from handing over his wealth and life to a stranger. "I understand your concerns," Dumbledore said meaningfully, "but I still hope you can keep things." Aaron frowned. "Principal, did I not explain clearly enough just now?" "No, you explained it very clearly, but there is a contingency in everything, just in case that man in black finds you." "That means someone has let the secret out," Aaron interjected, giving Hagrid a meaningful look. By the way, the giant immediately took a step back, for no other reason than a guilty conscience. Dumbledore was a little dumbfounded, but he didn't expect this little wizard to be quite cautious. "I'll warn Hagrid well. If you're worried, I can set a special spell on him later to make sure he doesn't tell anything about you." "Thank you, Principal, really, thank you very much. This is the best news I've heard in the past 2 days. It's not that I don't believe in Hagrid, but his ability to keep secrets is really not that bad. Maybe after a few glasses of wine, people will get caught up in the conversation." "Aaron, I'm really sorry for what happened these 2 days." Hagrid stood up and smiled embarrassedly. "However, I'm still very reliable." He. Anyone can say beautiful words, but actually, who knows? Hagrid lowered his head silently, feeling mixed feelings in his heart, frustration, grievance, and anger intertwined, which was very sour, but he really couldn't think of any rebuttal words. First, Harry and the others stole Aaron's Abe, which caused them to be locked up. They didn't listen to his advice during the lock-up period, which almost put the 3 students in danger. Tell Dumbledore about it. It is estimated that he is here with Aaron, and his integrity has already suffered a comminuted fracture. Cough cough. Dumbledore let out a few centenarian coughs and successfully attracted the attention of several people. He was worried that Aaron's truth would shatter Hagrid's glass heart if he continued to speak the truth. "Let's talk about business first. Gaius, don't think that I am making things difficult for you. In fact, your situation may not be that safe. You may have walked into the sight of the man in black." "Oh." Aaron smiled meaningfully. "From what the principal said, you seem to know this man in black very well." Dumbledore pondered for a moment. "It's just a guess, but the possibility of this guess cannot be ruled out. Your safety really. That's about the school. In fact, last summer, before I officially started school, my father suggested that I go to Durmstrang, where he said I would be better looked after. However, I chose Hogwarts, not for anything else, just because I like this school, its history, and its teaching atmosphere. What is important is that this school has the strongest white wizard in the magic world, Albus Dumbledore, whose honors and legends are countless." Aaron said solemnly, with a very pious expression, and he even wanted to write the words, "Dumbledore is my idol," on his face, but in fact, only he knew how many words were true. "So, Professor, Hogwarts will keep the students safe." Dumbledore was stunned after hearing this, and experienced a heart convulsion for a long time. The last time he felt this way was decades ago. How can he answer this question? This 12-year-old little wizard must be a little bit too hurt. Answer in the affirmative. Yes, Hogwarts will ensure the safety of the students, and he is too embarrassed to ask for the potion in Aaron's hand. No. That's impossible. Hogwarts' reputation will fall off a cliff, unless it is an established fact. He, the principal, has to maintain the school's face. Moreover, this is the principal's office, and the portraits of the principals of all generations are here. If he dares to give a negative answer, these people will definitely criticize him for a long time. That feeling is not good, and it has a great impact on the mood of this centenarian. If it was a year ago, he could pat his chest and promise Aaron, but not at this stage. There is an extra Dark Lord in the school. Dumbledore didn't answer immediately, but winked at Snape, hoping he could help smooth things over, but he was surprised to find that Snape's face kept twitching, and he didn't notice his hint at all. As for Hagrid, he didn't think about it at all. If Aaron was putting on a show and using half-truths to keep him from stepping down, then Hagrid was showing his true feelings and regarded Aaron as his confidant. In Hagrid's mind, Hogwarts is the best school, and Dumbledore is the most trustworthy person. Of course Hogwarts can guarantee the safety of the students. Dumbledore said seriously, no matter what he had to protect the reputation of the school first. It's time to say no. Aaron thought to himself. But Dumbledore paused for a moment, then smiled self-deprecatingly. Aaron, I'm not afraid of your jokes. Even I can only defeat enemies on the surface. In the huge Hogwarts, it is impossible for me to take care of everyone, and it is impossible for me to cover everything. This is inevitable. As for the black-robed man hiding in the dark, unless he reveals himself, I have nothing to do, but I can guarantee that among all the magic schools, Hogwarts is definitely the best one, and the protection of students is also the first. Aaron, good guy, really good guy. He gave full marks for this wave of answers. It not only guaranteed the school's face, but also gave himself enough steps. This humble and calm posture is enough to prove that he has not worked in vain for more than 100 years. Aaron Gaius, I still hope that you can give me the resurrection potion for safekeeping, and I will return it to you intact during the holiday. I apologize in advance if this bothers you, but I do have reasons why I had to, and I hope you will forgive me. If the man in black got that bottle of potion, it would bring a great crisis to Hogwarts and even the entire wizarding world. Aaron was silent for a while, sighed long, and took out the emerald green potion. Professor, thank you for not lying to me. If your answer just now didn't satisfy me, I wouldn't take this thing out anyway. Dumbledore nodded with a smile, and then set his eyes on the bottle of resurrection potion, first surprised, then rejoiced. His experience was unusually rich, and with the explanations from Hagrid and Snape, he naturally saw the heaven-defying healing effect of this potion. It was too thrilling. Fortunately, Hagrid arrived in time last night, otherwise the Dark Lord would get this thing, and there would be no need to play. This is much easier to use than the Philosopher's Stone, and directly saves the complicated steps of refining the elixir. One step in place, full of blood resurrection. Thank you for your trust, Aaron. But I have a small condition. Aaron said, I believe you can see the value of this bottle of potion. It is used to save life at critical moments, but if I hand it over to you, there is no doubt that there is no insurance for my life. What do you want to say? Dumbledore played with taste. As long as I can do it, I will not refuse. Hey! It's serious, it's serious. Aaron put the resurrection potion on the desk. My condition is very simple. That is, the school should pay more attention to my safety before the holiday. You can order the professor once if necessary, otherwise you will feel insecure. This. Dumbledore looked at the resurrection potion on the table, which was worth no less than the Philosopher's Stone, without much hesitation. Okay, I promise you. Chapter 72. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Of course, Headmaster. In fact, I also understand that the teachers in Hogwarts are relatively busy, so there is no need to notify everyone. Dumbledore narrowed his eyes slightly, and pondered for a while. What do you mean? Aaron scratched his head, smiled and stretched out 4 fingers. 4 professors are enough, Professor McGonagall, Professor Flitwick, Professor Sprout, and Professor Snape. Before the holidays, I had a right to call them once, on call. You know it's impossible. Dumbledore couldn't laugh or cry. I can ask Professor Snape to protect you, and add another Hagrid at most, but it's not enough to give it all to you. In addition to teaching, these deans also manage their own colleges, and the burden on them is not light. If you take all the words away, most of Hogwarts will be paralyzed. Can't it? Aaron didn't expect Dumbledore to agree to this harsh condition. Bargain it. The most important thing is to meet the expected price, and it would be better to mention it on this basis. Those 3 professors. Aaron bent one of the 4 outstretched fingers, Professor McGonagall, Professor Flitwick and Professor Snape. Dumbledore shook his head and smiled without saying a word. 2, no less. Aaron said angrily, Professor McGonagall and Professor Snape, if you disagree, return the potion to me. If the safety issue is not guaranteed, I really can't hand over the life-saving things. 2 words are barely acceptable. Dumbledore looked at Snape helplessly. You heard that, Severus. Understood, Headmaster. Snape rolled his eyes at Aaron. I'll be there when you call, but you only have one chance. Aaron smiled mischievously. I guarantee that it won't be a critical moment, and I will never disturb the professor. Best. I'll tell Professor McGonagall that she should give me this face. Dumbledore said, now you are satisfied. It's okay. Aaron stood up from the chair. I think I can leave now. Of course, go back and have a good sleep. Hearing this, Aaron breathed a sigh of relief. The matter is coming to an end here, and Abe, who is drooling at the red strange bird, is about to leave. However, within a few steps, Dumbledore's voice came from behind. Mr. Gaius, your cat seems very unusual. Aaron paused, and his heart skipped a beat. He turned his head to look at Hagrid, only to find that the giant was shaking his head slightly at him, and kept hinting with his eyes that he didn't say anything, so he was reluctant to let go. The principal has eyes. You can see how tightly I wrapped Abe. My cat is so cute. It's cute, but what I want to say has nothing to do with appearance. Dumbledore meaningfully pointed to the red strange bird on the gilded perch. Fox, my pet, it's a phoenix. This is the first time I've seen other animals drooling over it. Aaron, depend on, it's decided. I'll be hungry for a few meals after I go back. It's fine if you can't control your saliva, but if you drool over Phoenix, do you want to eat it like a chicken? Is this appetite too big? Although Abbe's actions made people dumbfounded, his master could only help it cover at this moment. Ahem. To be honest, Professor Dumbledore, Abe may not be looking at the Phoenix, but recently he likes to collect some things. The gilded branch under Fox's feet, that thing, can you sell it to me? The corner of Dumbledore's mouth twitched, and when he turned his head, his Phoenix almost fell on the table. He waved his hand with a wry smile, and the office door opened. Go back and rest. Professor Snape, you see off Aaron and come back later. Yes. The 2 walked out of the office, and Aaron breathed a sigh of relief. It can be regarded as getting through. Snape looked at him inexplicably, with complicated eyes. Before coming here, Aaron's view of Dumbledore was old and immortal, but after seeing him in person, his attitude changed 180 degrees, and he was completely regarded as an idol. It's a pity you don't go to act. Hey! Talking to people, talking nonsense to hell, I learned this skill a long time ago. Aaron said indifferently, and Dumbledore is not so easy to fool. If you didn't achieve your goal, do you think he would let me go so easily? Dumbledore wouldn't do that. Snape chuckled. I've known him for so many years that I'm pretty sure he wouldn't do any harm to the students. I didn't say that he would harm me, but I guess I will run to the principal's office for a long time. He will probably use these stupid methods to scare that dark man in black, so he won't dare to attack me. After all, the man in black doesn't know that I have the potion that can restore him, so he won't risk entering Dumbledore's sight. Aaron said, now the potion is in his custody, and I should be safe for a long time before the end of this semester. You know the headmaster wants your potion. If not, could it be that he asked you to invite me over to talk about life and ideals with me? As soon as you said that Dumbledore wanted to see me, I knew I couldn't keep this bottle of medicine. It's not a wise decision to contradict the principal at school. Since you can't keep it, try to seek as much benefit as possible for yourself. The result is still not satisfactory. What a little fox. Professor, although you are a master of potions, I have never seen fewer big men than you. Under the influence of ears and eyes, you can learn a little bit. Aaron said unhappily, and, do you think my little fox's mind can hide the old fox's thoughts? Snape froze for a moment, silently comparing Aaron and Dumbledore in his heart. Without a doubt, Dumbledore won. Indeed, there is a big gap between you and him, in all aspects. I admit it, but I'm still young and sooner or later I'll surpass him, and... Aaron's eyes were sparkling, and he raised a finger confidently. I have one thing better than him. What? Are you kidding? Snape's eyes widened, and his first reaction was that this was impossible. He has been by Dumbledore's side for so many years, and he knows how much power the White Devil can mobilize. It can be said that as long as Voldemort does not appear, no one can match Dumbledore. No, what I said is true. Aaron said very seriously, it's not just me. In this respect, you should also be better than him. Huh? Is there any? I really don't see what I am better than him. We are richer than him. Aaron said very bluntly. Snape froze in place for a moment. This answer really caught him off guard, but after thinking about it carefully, it seems that it is indeed the case. Is Dumbledore rich? Of course there is money. He has been at Hogwarts for more than 30 years, receiving the highest salary in the school, and he has several high-ranking part-time jobs. Under normal circumstances, Dumbledore's assets are enough for him to spend several lifetimes, but correspondingly, there are definitely a lot of places for him to spend money, and these few salaries alone are only enough for him to make ends meet and save some pension. By the way, even knowing that he was better than Dumbledore, Snape still couldn't be happy. So what if you have money, don't you still work for others? By the way, Professor, I suddenly remembered something. Aaron said with some embarrassment, didn't I give you a present at Christmas? Have you figured out what it does? Snape came back to his senses with a strange look on his face. You said that bottle of unknown liquid? That's right, that's right. Aaron said excitedly, eager to know what the holy dragon saliva does. I've been researching it for a while, and that thing does work. With some herbs, you can develop a potion that whets your appetite, which is very helpful for some anorexia patients. The corners of Aaron's mouth twitched a little, but when he thought of Abe, a dragon who was not picky about food, was delicious, and could even treat phoenixes as food, he took it for granted. After sending Aaron to the gargoyle at the entrance, Snape returned to the headmaster's office. Severus, I have to congratulate you. Dumbledore said with a smile, you have a good student. Professor McGonagall, Professor Flitwick and Professor Sprout all asked me to transfer him to another school. After all, the Sorting Hat also said that he is suitable for every house. It's a wild idea of them trying to steal someone from me, Slytherin, and I don't agree with that, but Aaron is indeed excellent, with outstanding achievements in all aspects. You know I'm not talking about grades. I don't have the guts to negotiate with the headmaster at his age. I think, this may have something to do with his family environment. Maybe. But you may not even realize that he is much smarter than you think. He knows how to protect himself, how to restrain his edge, and how to seek greater interests for himself within a reasonable range. He is not as shrewd as a 12-year-old child. Chapter 73. The invitation came unexpectedly. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Principal. Snape asked indifferently, isn't it a good thing for a student to be good? Of course it's a good thing. Dumbledore said without hesitation, I'm the headmaster, and I dream that the quality of students at Hogwarts can be better, but your student is a little too mature. Professor McGonagall, Professor Flitwick, Professor Sprout, and you, Professor Severus Snape, to be honest, I am not surprised that he proposed such a luxurious lineup, and I even take it for granted. After all, asking for a lot of money and paying back the money on the spot, doing business is all about bargaining, as long as the psychological expectations of both parties can be met, it is a win-win situation. But he also specifically proposed not to notify everyone, which is a bit intriguing. Isn't that normal? Hagrid rubbed his beer belly and smiled. Obviously, he doesn't want to bother other people. Perhaps. Dumbledore stroked his white beard, his eyes flashed with wisdom, and continued, but it is also possible that he was on guard against something. what do you say, Severus? Snape pondered for a while, his expression gradually became serious. You mean he knows? Not necessarily, but he has seen the man in black with his own eyes, and seen him suck the blood of unicorns to maintain his life. With his intelligence, he couldn't help guessing. For example, how did this man in black hide in Hogwarts? What is the purpose of entering Hogwarts? Is there anyone else in the school colluding with him and so on? Not at all. Aaron. Hagrid paused and continued, he's just a first-year wizard, how could he think so much? Ha ha ha. Hagrid, you can't deny that there are indeed a handful of geniuses in the world. They are different, they stand out, they think better than others, they have a unique vision. One thing is certain now, apart from you, me, and the deans of the 4 colleges, the other faculty and staff are all on his suspicion list. Dumbledore smiled lightly and shook his head. I guess he is now complacent about the successful transaction just now, but this little thought can't be hidden from my eyes. It's really a big profit to temporarily use the rights of 2 professors to cut off another way for Voldemort's resurrection. The corner of Snape's mouth twitched. He understood why Aaron was so calm when he left just now. This is a confrontation between the old fox and the young fox, neither of which is a fuel-efficient lamp. Severus. Dumbledore said suddenly, you have to guide this student well, and don't let him follow that person's old path, or it will be another disaster. Hearing this, Snape's expression suddenly became a little ferocious. You mean you want me to monitor him? Dumbledore noticed this change in expression, and heaved a long sigh. It's not surveillance, it's just paying as much attention as possible. I once neglected the education of a student, so that it led to a series of tragedies later, which made me regret my whole life. If I could, I'd like to. That's enough, Professor Dumbledore. Snape interrupted him angrily. Aaron Gaius is my student, and his future path is up to him to choose, and I will not deliberately guide anything. Besides, I'm not you, and he wouldn't be Voldemort. Calm down, Snape, I didn't mean that, don't get me wrong. Phew. Snape suppressed the anger in his heart. I lost my composure. Headmaster, if I have nothing else to do, I'll go first. Goodbye. After Snape left, Hagrid said, I've never seen Snape so angry. What did you want to say just now? Nothing. Dumbledore shrugged. I just hope that Aaron can transfer to Gryffindor College, but it may seem difficult. Slytherin Common Room. Aaron was lying on the bed in the dormitory, while stroking the silly and cute dragon, while paying attention to his personal panel. Host, Aaron Gaius. Magic energy. 1126, senior magician, barely capable of being alone, but still insignificant. Talent, rare in 100 years, can be improved. Magic power increases by 2 points every day. Items. Drop of the Moon, Felicity Potion, Invisibility Potion. Magic points, 778, Hogwarts sign-in, increased 10 points a day. Sure enough, it's gone. Aaron saw the resurrection potion that had disappeared in the item column. Although he was prepared, he still felt empty in his heart, as if he had lost a particularly important sense of security. Then he opened Abbe's property panel. Pet, Abbe, race, dragon, saint, unawakened. Magic energy, 496, increasing a little every day, although the potential is infinite, but now it is extremely weak. Innate ability, flying. There are still 4 days left before Shenlong's first evolution, which is the only thing he is looking forward to now. Although Abe still needs a stage of investment to awaken other innate skills, his size will definitely grow. Don't expect it to be 12 or 20 meters casual like other dragons, at least it has to grow to the stage of the centaur. This is the first step in evolving from a pet to a war pet. System, can you tell me how big Abe can grow in the next stage? Aaron asked a little nervously. 1 meter. Click, click. Aaron blinked, and the corners of his mouth twitched involuntarily. What's the use of a meter? It's not as tall as me. I thought it would be able to fly me after this time, but I was really naive. The host can't think like that. It takes time for holy dragons to evolve. Time. Is it capital? Aaron said disdainfully, with the growth rate of my magic point, it seems that it is still far away to feed it into a dragon. But the reward is worth it. The system said solemnly, although the size of the holy dragon has not increased much, its strength, speed, defense, vitality, flight speed and other attributes will be improved to a certain extent. And, it is not impossible for the host to experience the feeling of flying. Oh. Aaron suddenly felt relieved. Could things turn around? It can't fly with you, but it can fly with you. Hearing this, a picture appeared in Aaron's mind. He floats high in the sky, with a pair of pure white sacred wings behind him, overlooking all living beings like an angel, but as soon as he turned around, there was a stupid and cute creature hanging behind him. It reluctantly turned its head away, and it fell straight down in an instant, becoming very funny. Hiss. Forget it. Aaron shuddered. I will never play like this unless it is to save my life. By the way, will it produce any abnormalities when it evolves? I remember it being magical when it was born. No. The system poured cold water on it. Birth and growth are two different things. Birth is the birth of a new life, but growth is natural, but you can speed up this process as the host, but please don't overthink it. Is that so? Aaron was a little disappointed. He originally planned to let Abbe complete the evolution in the Forbidden Forest, but now it seems that this step has been omitted. But this is not a bad thing. To go to the Forbidden Forest, you have to pass Hagrid's level first. He has offended himself severely in the past 2 days, and the guilty group will probably agree to this request, but with the personality of this giant, if Abe's front foot has evolved, he may not be able to resist going to the principal's office to inform him on his back foot. At that time, who knows if Dumbledore will think about keeping Abe for a while, but if they avoid Hagrid and sneak into the Forbidden Forest, the danger will soar. The magical and dark creatures of the Forbidden Forest would give Hagrid face, but not everyone else. With his small body, he can protect himself on the outside, but once he goes deep, if he enters some magical animal's lair, he may not be able to escape unscathed. The next day, Aaron sat up from the bed, stretched himself, refreshed. Although there have been a lot of troubles these days, he knows that it's all over. Dangerous confinement, Voldemort drinking blood, unfathomable Dumbledore, and Rubius Hagrid who is full will not bother him anymore, as long as he studies honestly in class. At least before Voldemort steals the Philosopher's Stone, he can still develop wretchedly for a while. However, things were not as good as he thought. A class told him that he was wrong, and it was a bit outrageous. Defense against the dark arts class. The substitute is Professor Quirrell. Aaron thought he was a good student, but he didn't listen to a word of this class. Voldemort's possessed object, Professor Quirrell, would look at him every few minutes, with a particularly pale smile on his face, which made him flustered, but in order to avoid revealing his flaws, causing Quirrell to break his cans, or even kill people, he had to pretend to be listening to the class seriously, and from time to time he smiled kindly at the teacher who had been paying attention to him, and his facial expression was a little stiff. After class, Aaron breathed a sigh of relief, picked up Abe and prepared to leave. Wait. Quirrell stammered. Mr. Gaius, can you wait a moment? Yes, I want to talk to you about something, so go to my office. Aaron. Chapter 74. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Aaron looked at the stuttering Professor Quirrell, and a million muddy horses galloped past him. I thought that today would be a brand new beginning, and I could grow steadily as usual, but I didn't expect the shock to come so suddenly. Professor Quirrell's invitation, don't be funny, % of this is Voldemort's meaning, decline this invitation, it must be declined. The methods of the Dark Lord are beyond the imagination of a little high-ranking magician. Going to see him alone is like a knife and a fish for me. Mr. Gaius. Professor Quirrell called softly, can you come? Professor, I'm afraid I have to say sorry. Aaron said sincerely and regretfully, I have to ask Professor Snape for some advice today, which was agreed yesterday. Quirrell froze for a moment. How about tomorrow? It won't work tomorrow either. I have to ask Professor McGonagall for advice on advanced metamorphosis. This is an appointment. The day after tomorrow. Should be free the day after tomorrow. Professor Quirrell gritted his teeth struggling. He didn't believe that Aaron could still refuse. Even if he wanted to make an appointment, it should be his turn for the defense against the dark arts class. I'm afraid it won't work. Aaron shook his head. For some reason, Professor Dumbledore called me to find me. I have to spend some time to deal with this matter. Coincidentally, it will be the day after tomorrow. Dumbledore. Headmaster. Professor Quirrell frowned. Aaron noticed the flickering fear in his eyes, and heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. Just be afraid. I don't know why he came to me. I guess Hagrid told him about the Forbidden Forest. Aaron purposely glanced at Abe, his eyes full of worry. Seeing this, Quirrell felt a lot more relaxed. Hagrid still knew about it. He probably told Dumbledore about Aaron raising a magical animal. This is a big deal, and it's only normal for the headmaster to care about it. Okay. Since the principal is looking for you, it's not convenient for me to fight with him and rob him, but if you have time, you must come to me. Your talent is very good, but you still need a little, practice it, and I will personally guide you. Really? Aaron was very happy. Don't worry, Professor, I will definitely go if I can find time. Well. You go back first. Aaron nodded and left the classroom as usual. His back was already wet with cold sweat, but in order to avoid showing his flaws, he behaved very normally. Even the rhythm of his breathing did not change. After walking into a corner, Aaron leaned against the wall weakly and took several deep breaths before he managed to calm down. It can be regarded as passing through. It's too exciting. This wave must give myself 100 praises for my wit, with Dumbledore's power. Professor Quirrell would not invite himself for a long time if nothing else happened. In fact, just as he expected, after all the students left the classroom of defense against the dark arts, Professor Quirrell quickly closed the classroom door, and his face became very cold, which was completely different from his obedience in class. One person. Master, Aaron Gaius is probably busy these 2 days, and we may not have a chance to ask him out. It doesn't matter, there will be a chance. An extremely hoarse voice came from the back of Professor Quirrell's head. This was originally a whim. I want to subdue him, and the current ghostly appearance is not suitable to appear in front of him. I just want to get a close look at his talent. Master. Professor Quirrell hesitated. With all due respect, Dumbledore has already noticed him. Look at us. Humph. I know that old bastard very well. He has been vigilant against Slytherin from the beginning to the end. Aaron's emotional intelligence far exceeds that of his peers, and it may not be a good thing to get in touch with that old man a few times. When I return, this grudge may play an unexpected role. Master is wise. However, Dumbledore will definitely pay more attention to this little wizard in the future, and some plans have to be temporarily suspended. If Aaron comes to you, just teach him a few spells and send him away. Before getting the Sorcerer's Stone successfully, you can't scare the snake and make troubles. Yes, Master. After the conversation, Professor Quirrell instantly changed back to that vulnerable look, and slowly walked out of the classroom like a person recovering from a serious illness. In early June, the library, with 1 day left before the final exam, Draco lay down on the table and quickly wrote the key points of knowledge. There was a pile of thick textbooks and notes in front of him. 2 of his squires, Crabbe and Goyle, were reviewing at another table. Although they don't like studying, this is the final exam, a test that teachers and parents attach great importance to. If you fail the exam, you will not be picked up by your parents when you go back. Compared with the enthusiasm here, Aaron's side is the complete opposite. There is only an ordinary forbidden book on his desk, a sacred dragon dozing on its stomach, and a glass of iced juice. Others came to review, but he just came to watch others review, and it feels quite good. You can't do this. The most important thing before the exam is to relax your mind. Going to the examination room with a tired body, one can imagine how the results will be. You're right. Crabbe nodded approvingly. I feel that the efficiency is not as good as usual now. That's better than nothing at all. Draco said speechlessly. The learning enthusiasm of Crabbe and Goyle was purely brought up by him. If it weren't for him, these 2 guys would never have lasted so long. It would be nice if they didn't eat on the bed. But what about tomorrow's state? Gore asked. Look at them. Draco pointed to the Gryffindor trio not far away with his pen. The same is a top student with 2 low students. Harry and Ron are more serious than Crabbe and Goyle under Hermione's supervision. I can't lose to Granger, and you can't lose to Potter and Weasley, understand? Boss, this. Okay. It's too easy. Crabbe saw Draco's eyes, and changed his words in time. Granger is not as good as us, but Weasley and Potter, their usual learning attitude is obvious to all, even if they are cramming, they are not as good as ours. That's not necessarily true. Aaron shrugged. What do you say? Luck is also a part of strength. The luck of the two of them has always been very good, which is beyond your comparison. Crabbe and Goyle looked at each other, smiled bitterly at each other, and continued to flip through their textbooks. Why are you so calm? Draco asked curiously. Aaron, I know you study well, but this is the final exam after all. Are you taking it too easy? It's okay to openly read banned books in ordinary areas. Isn't this bottle of juice too much? Are you not afraid of Mrs. Pants criticizing you? Hee. The librarian has certain authority here, and I only brought the drink in with her approval. What? And this thing? How did you do that? It's simple, it won't affect other students, it won't stain the books, the most important thing is. What is it? It's about building a good relationship with the administrator. Aaron said inscrutably, I gave Mrs. Pants a gift at Christmas and Easter respectively. Maybe I'm the only student in Hogwarts who knows how difficult it is for her as an administrator. This glass of fruit juice is the reward, the way of the world, courtesy and reciprocity. The corner of Draco's mouth twitched, and then he gave a thumbs up. You are amazing. Low profile, is this kind of thing easy to say? Then you don't need to review. Look into my eyes. Aaron asked solemnly, pointing to his own eyes. Tell me, what can you see? Pretty, Draco replied tentatively. Superficial, while it's certainly beautiful, that's not the point is that this is a pair of eyes that never forget. Hiss. Draco was stunned for a moment, and after realizing it, he took a sharp breath. You mean, you only need to read these books once? More or less. If it was a Muggle exam, I could just lie flat, but this is a wizard's exam, and many lessons require manual operations. Fortunately, my magic talent and hands-on ability are good, so it is not a problem to get a high score casually. Why don't I have this talent? Draco said enviously. You have to ask your parents. Aaron said proudly, in short, with such a talent, who still reads textbooks. You guys do it for review, but I do it for pure entertainment. Draco shook his head with a wry smile, and continued to focus on his textbooks. Some people are the darlings of heaven, born to be superior to others. He was quite envious of this kind of person, but he wasn't jealous, not to mention that this person was one of his few good friends. What was more important now was tomorrow's exam, and Hermione Granger was his opponent. Although the possibility of winning is not high, he still has to try. Malfoy does not lack this courage. Just as he was secretly cheering himself up, he suddenly saw Granger approaching, and subconsciously thought it was because he was concerned, which led to hallucinations in his brain, but after rubbing his eyes, he realized that he was right. Granger, what are you doing here? You interrupt my study, you are not welcome here. I'm looking for him. Hermione put her eyes on Aaron. Are you free? There is something I want to talk to you about. No time. Draco said immediately. Aaron will not welcome you either. Aaron spread his hands and pointed to his book. I still have to entertain. No, what about studying? It's very important. Hermione emphasized, it's more important than tomorrow's exam. Chapter 75 Scars with Warning Effect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Aaron frowned. At this stage, the only thing more important than the exam is the Philosopher's Stone. Okay, I get it, hopefully it's not as bad as I thought it would be. What did you say? Draco asked. It's nothing. Aaron smiled, and then followed Hermione to an empty table in the corner. Let me guess what it is that made you have the cheek to come to me. Did Hagrid tell you how to pass the three-headed dog? No, Hagrid was tight-lipped. This is also the main reason why we are still thinking about learning. Aaron gave a disdainful cut, and after several contacts, he had a clear understanding of the giant's secrecy, although it is not likely to be a negative number, but at most it is just a little better than 0. Hermione looked weird, but thinking of the absurd things Hagrid did, she could only sigh silently in her heart. Then what do you want to say to me? It's Harry. Hermione looked around, and after making sure no one was coming, she said in a low voice, "The scar on his forehead has been aching for the past 2 days, this is some kind of sign, and we guess that the mysterious person is about to make a move." Oh. Is there such a thing? Aaron immediately became interested. He originally thought that the scar was just a proof of Harry's identity, making him a big celebrity in the wizarding world since he was 1 year old, but he didn't expect that there would be an early warning. Roll, Hermione nodded, "I know you've always had doubts about us, but this time the matter is of great importance. If it's not that I can't make up my mind, I don't want to bother you. I'm not that stingy. To say I forgive you is to forgive you." Hearing this, Hermione smiled forcefully. Ever since they abducted Abbe, Aaron treated them purely as passers-by, and didn't even say hello when they met. It was even more difficult to ease the relationship. Harry and Ron have been looking for an opportunity to apologize, but when they saw Aaron's plain eyes, they were very guilty, and they just lowered their heads and dared not look directly. After trying several times in a row, they got used to this kind of look, and summoned up the courage to say sorry. Aaron didn't know what Hermione was thinking, and if he knew, he would probably only find it funny. He is the one who was hurt. He can't let him lick his face and take the initiative to ease the relationship. Does he want to lose face? It would be too passive to just stare at Hagrid and ask him if he has leaked the method of getting through Mau. Hermione said, "Now you know who is almost unable to hold back, so." Aaron's heart skipped a beat. "You don't plan to take the initiative, do you? Don't get me wrong." Hermione hurriedly waved her hand, "I don't have that idea." That's what they both had in mind. This is how much to drink, it must be too courageous. Neither. They originally had this idea, but we have no evidence, and we have no chance to take the initiative. Hermione explained, they meant to divert energy from Hagrid to Snape. Snapped. Aaron patted his forehead and let out a long sigh. Good guy, really good guy. To say that they are smart is to say that they are really smart. They can think of changing targets and gain a little bit of the initiative, but it is true to say that they are stupid. They have chosen the wrong target, and they probably don't know anything when Voldemort succeeds and escapes. Aaron, I'm the first and second big now, and I don't know what to do. Snape definitely can't go there, it's a waste of effort. Keep an eye on Hagrid, he has a way to get through Mau, which is much more important. I know, but Harry and the others don't think so. Their prejudice against Snape was too deep, and Hagrid was still very reliable. Aaron's mouth twitched. Hagrid is reliable, it was the biggest joke he had heard all year. Phew. Aaron took a deep breath and looked at Hermione solemnly. Now we can only find a way to reduce the failure rate. Didn't they want to increase surveillance on Snape? You go back and tell them I spy on Snape for you. Ah. Are you kidding, woo? Don't make such a fuss, can you? Aaron let go of Hermione's hand. This is a library after all. Are you so loud because you are worried that others will not know? Sorry. Hermione looked around, relieved that no one noticed them, but Harry and the others won't believe it. They always thought that Snape was your most respected professor, and they didn't even want to tell you about the Philosopher's Stone. Normal, it's normal, they're Gryffindors and I'm a Slytherin. It's not just me, Snape is a Slytherin, and you know who is a Slytherin. Hermione. It's not that far-fetched. That's not important, all you have to do is tell them that I suspect that Snape has something to do with the man in black in the Forbidden Forest. Can they believe it? Just make up a reason. For example, on a dark and windy night, a Slytherin wizard happened to see their beloved house professor hand over a silver bottle of unicorn blood to the black-robed man. Hermione hesitated for a while. She knew that if she said this, Harry and Ron would definitely regard Aaron as a like-minded one of their own, and it would be much easier for them to talk and do things, but in this way, when the truth comes out, they will realize that they have been deceived. She has already experienced the crisis of trust and so on, and she doesn't want to experience it again. I don't recommend doing this. Hermione shook her head seriously, otherwise you won't have any trust with them in the future. Aaron paused for a moment, then sat quietly on the chair and began to think. He understood what Hermione meant. It was indeed his negligence. One sentence can make his task more convenient, but it will also damage his personal reputation. The gain outweighs the gain. Then, tell the truth. This is even worse. Hermione said with a wry smile, this is too hurtful for their self-esteem, they can't accept it. Don't get me wrong, I mean to tell a small part of the truth, just grasp a degree. Aaron looked at Hermione meaningfully, because I saved your life, you are worried that Snape will get the magic sure will be against me in the future, so he told me the speculation that the man in black has something to do with Snape, and told me to be careful about him, and out of respect for the professor, I decided to prove for him that he is not a bad person. In the process, I will keep an eye on Professor Snape for you. Can this work? Hermione was a little skeptical, I always feel that something is not right. It works, any lie has flaws, but it is not so easy to find flaws, and the scar on Harry's head had already begun to warn that he was running out of time, and he would not refuse other people's help at this time. If it doesn't work, just add more fire and tell them that you told me a white lie, for example, that on a dark and windy night, some 3 Gryffindor wizards happened to see a ghost that looked exactly like Sirius Snape's men and a man in black. After that, I will do some simple repair work one after another, and slowly join your plan. The corners of Hermione's eyes twitched slightly. I'll tell them both, let's just keep an eye on Hagrid then. Not necessarily. Aaron shook his head, in your opinion, Hagrid is very reliable, but in my opinion, he is not generally unreliable. Of course, I'm not looking down on him, Hagrid's ability to handle affairs is still very strong, otherwise Dumbledore wouldn't value him so much, but the ability to keep secrets. You say he is tight-lipped, but in my opinion the mouth of the bottle is sealed, but the body of the bottle is leaking everywhere. If anyone tried to wring a secret out of Hagrid, he couldn't keep it. No way. Very well. Aaron said very seriously, Hagrid will be a good friend, but take my advice, don't tell him the secret. Hermione nodded blankly, then thought of something. Her face became serious. According to what you said, it's not particularly safe for us to focus on Hagrid. At least it's better than doing nothing. In case he really tells about the method of passing Mau Mau, you must be the first to know. That's all I can think of. Hermione said wistfully, and then went to explain to Harry and Ron. After a while, she turned back again, with a little embarrassment still on her face. Why are you back again? Harry and Ron are very grateful for your help, but they are worried that your ability alone is limited, so they asked me to help you. The two of you can take care of each other. Aaron raised his eyebrows, turned his head and glanced from a distance. Harry was greeting him with a smile, and seemed to welcome him as a teammate. Ron even gave him an affirmative look, and was relieved that he turned to the light in time. No need for this. I still know who Snape is, and they say they are spying on him, but I don't care at all. They don't think so. Hermione shrugged. It's just a show, it's not a big deal, but it can make them feel a lot more at ease. Forget it, let's do it. You look after Hagrid, my words. Aaron paused slightly, looked up at the ceiling, as if he could see Dumbledore's office through it. Chapter 76. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Harry and the others were wasting time on Snape, they simply lost their way. They might as well stare at Hagrid, although the effect will not be too great. It is equivalent to narrowing the road. After all, this giant is simple-minded, and he may not even know that he has told the secret, but this does not mean that there is no effect at all. Aaron put himself into Voldemort to think about the problem, and came up with a simpler and more direct way, which is to stare at Dumbledore. He didn't believe that the mighty Dark Lord could mess with a 3-headed dog. It was a complete joke. It is not difficult to kill Mau Mau with Voldemort's ability, but the disturbance caused will definitely not be small. The roar of the 3-headed dog will resound throughout the castle, and this siren will attract powerful enemies for him, and everything will be unpredictable at that time. If these enemies were only college professors, he might be able to escape by paying a little price, but if there was Dumbledore, it would be purely free, so he would definitely find a way to get through Mau Mau from Hagrid. But in fact, even if he figured out all the organs, he probably wouldn't act immediately, because as long as he made a little movement, it might attract Dumbledore's attention. It's useless to get the Philosopher's Stone at that time. It's not too easy for a White Lord in his heyday to destroy a Dark Lord who is dying. For Voldemort, only when Dumbledore leaves Hogwarts is his best time to act, and the rest of the time is more or less risky, and in his current half-dead state, he couldn't take any risks at all. Fortunately, Aaron and Dumbledore had an informal negotiation, and they could make up a reasonable reason to ask the two professors to find out Dumbledore's whereabouts at any time, otherwise things would be really difficult. The next day, the whole of Hogwarts became serious. The final exam, which excited the good students and gave the poor students a headache, fell on all the students very accurately, and none of them fell. The written test is the most time-consuming and the most tormented. You have to answer all the questions in a stuffy classroom with a spelled quill. Aaron was the first to walk out of the examination room, and he had the skill of photographic memory. He didn't need to think about answering the questions, and he knew what to write at a glance. Hermione and Draco handed in the paper almost at the same time, and they looked at each other unconvinced, as if two curses collided together, sparking violent sparks in the air. Ahem. Aaron coughed. You too. I am very satisfied with the look in your eyes, full of competitive spirit, but please restrain yourself, we haven't finished the exam yet. The two snorted at the same time, and turned their heads one after another. You're doomed, Malfoy. Not necessarily. Draco sneered. He knew that he was slightly inferior to Hermione in terms of study, but he didn't lose if he lost. Before the results came out, his aura must not be overwhelmed by the opponent. After the written test came the practical test. The students entered the 3 classrooms of charms, potions, and transfiguration in turn. They cast spells to make fruits dance, turn mice into boxes, and follow strict steps to prepare potions. Professor Flitwick will give marks based on the effects of the spells, plus the results of the written test will be the total score of the charms class. This professor is very lenient in the exams, and he is very enthusiastic about the students. As long as there is no accident, he will give high marks, and if there is an accident, he can pass it again. The potions exam is not as difficult as many students imagine, as long as they can successfully complete the operation steps. Professor Snape, the master of potions, will grade the potions according to their quality. But Gryffindor must be more taken care of, and he will try to create as much pressure on them as possible within his authority. For example, Harry and Ron, under his menacing gaze, completed the exam nervously. Professor McGonagall is more strict, checking the box for flaws, and deducting points to a certain extent according to the size of the flaws. If the box has a mouse's whiskers or tail, good luck to you, because it means you'll be hovering over the passing line. But if half of the box is the mouse's body and it can still move around, it is a failure without any suspense. How do you feel? Aaron hugged Abe and asked with interest as Draco and the 3 walked out of the examination room of the History of Magic class. Barely try. Crabbe shook his head. Most of the questions are not too difficult, but I really can't write a few of them. I didn't write a single word, in case Professor Binns would say that I tampered with history. I feel the same way. I think so too. Gore agreed deeply. I think it's a pity. Draco said with some regret, there is only one question I haven't answered, which is the reason for the elves' rebellion. I didn't listen to the professor when he taught it, because I have a house elf at home, and that kind of resignation is the best, so. I'm not interested in their rebellion at all. I guess it's just a small fight. The corner of Aaron's mouth twitched, and then he gave him a thumbs up. Your idea is really too inappropriate, especially as the heir of a pure-blood family. Any questions? The problem is that you may not even be able to beat the house elves in your family. Aaron said speechlessly. No way. Draco was somewhat disbelieving. I admit that they are good at work and housework, but that's all. That's your illusion. House elves will not do anything to their master, no matter how wrong they are. But this doesn't mean that they are weak. In fact, some house elves' fighting power can even be compared with that of Aurors, and if they fight for their lives, they are absolutely desperate. Draco couldn't help swallowing. The elf with the least status in the family was actually stronger than him, which made him a little unacceptable. Be a little nicer to your little elf in the future. Although they are slaves, they are barely strong compared to us fledgling wizards. Of course, how to treat it is your family business, Malfoy. I will not control it, and I have no right to control it, but... Aaron paused and raised a little thumb. Before you have the ability to defeat it, it's better to give it a little bit of respect. Draco nodded blankly. I'll try my best. After the final exams, the atmosphere at Hogwarts was visibly more relaxed, the tense nerves were completely relaxed, and some students even started to cheer. No matter how good or bad the test is, at least 1 week before the test results come out, they are free and carefree, and after this week is a long summer vacation, which is worth looking forward to, however. In this relaxed atmosphere, Aaron felt that the rain was about to come, because Harry often ran to Hagrid, and came over from time to time to ask him if there was anything unusual about Snape, and the frequency is getting more and more frequent, from once every 2 days to once a day, and now several times a day. After more than 10 contacts, Aaron inevitably guessed something, and simply had a showdown with them. Of course, the cards shown at the show were half-truths, more based on the fact that Snape might be a bad guy, deliberately supporting Harry's and their deduction. The two sides briefly exchanged the information they possessed, and naturally came to the conclusion that Voldemort was at Hogwarts, and someone, most likely Professor Snape, was cooperating with him in plotting the Sorcerer's Stone. Hermione rolled her eyes speechlessly. Harry and Ron both said they hated Aaron for being acquainted, and Aaron seriously pretended to be acquainted. Harry, I really think you're a bit annoying. Aaron looked at Harry Potter, who was constantly pacing in the Transfiguration classroom, and couldn't help but rubbed his forehead. Apart from my uncle, you're the first one to annoy me. It took him several years to give me this feeling, but you just took less than 10 days, in a way, this is already an achievement. I know, said Harry emotionally, I feel like I'm not quite right, but my forehead hurts like it's on fire. The scar had hurt before, but never as often as now. This must be a sign of something. The man in black is about to act, and the danger is imminent. Aaron raised his eyebrows and looked at Hermione and Ron, who were sitting beside him. Has he always been this nervous? If you have this spare time, can't you care about your test scores? It's just these few days. Ron explained. After the exam, we were very relaxed, but he seemed to be in a state of extreme anxiety all the time, waking up in his sleep for several days in a row. I suggest you go to Ms. Pomfrey, where she... I'm not sick. Harry interrupted Aaron anxiously. I mean, she should have a potion that can calm people down. You need to calm down now. But I don't want to go. Aaron's face darkened, and he directly sent him a sleeping spell. A blue light hit Harry, and he closed his eyes immediately, lying on a table straight. Ha! It's much quieter now. Aaron laughed, and then saw Hermione and Ron, who were stunned. This. Ron hesitated. What did you do to him? I just let him rest for a while. Don't worry, I have controlled the power, and he will wake up in a while. Chapter 77 Talk Back, Clearly Tell the Truth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Half an hour later, Harry opened his eyes in a daze. You're awake. Ron asked worriedly, do you feel uncomfortable? No, it feels quite relaxed. Harry said with a sneer, then turned his attention to Aaron, and couldn't help complaining, can't you tell me in advance? I'm not prepared at all. Next time definitely. Next time. And next time. There's no guarantee of that. In your state of extreme excitement just now, you can't listen to anything. I can only use this method to calm you down, and it seems that the effect is not bad. Harry touched the scar on his forehead subconsciously, and felt a little embarrassed to find that it no longer hurt so much. Sorry, but I was really in a hurry. It was Voldemort after all, and once he was revived, I would be the first to be unlucky. Harry looked at the three of them. Can you understand how I feel? Hermione and Ron shook their heads slightly. Voldemort was more abstract to them. Although it's scary, it won't hurt these little wizards for no reason. Aaron was nodding, looking a little out of place. There was no scar on his forehead that indicated a crisis, but he had been in contact with Voldemort, and he had also been in contact with Professor Quirrell, who was possessed by Voldemort, not once or twice. Every time I feel like jumping on the verge of life and death, and if my mental quality is slightly worse, I may not see the sun of tomorrow. Aaron, can you understand me? Extremely understanding. Don't forget, I fought against that man in black robe. It was too scary, but we're safe at Hogwarts. Harry was inexplicably relieved when he heard that, at this time, he desperately needs someone who can empathize with him. I have a hunch that Voldemort will act at any moment. We were pressed for time, and some changes had to be made. Harry said very seriously, the original plan remains the same. Ron and I keep an eye on Hagrid to prevent him from revealing the secret. Aaron, you and Hermione are to keep a close eye on Snape and notify us of any signs of trouble, but I suggest adding another layer of insurance. The two groups of us take turns to pay attention to the trapdoor. Whether it is Snape or Voldemort, once we want to take action, that door is a hurdle that must be passed. But that place is strictly prohibited by the school, and students are not allowed to go there. Hermione reminded, and we can't guard that door 24 hours a day. If you act too seriously, you will startle the snake. That's no way. Harry said with a wry smile, we don't have any evidence, and we can only use this stupid method if we don't have any evidence. Hermione and Ron looked at each other and nodded helplessly. At this time, you can only treat a dead horse as a living horse, doctor. What if it happens to you? After the plan was finalized, the four left the classroom in batches, but from the beginning to the end, only 2.5 were madly working hard to output. Harry and Ron count as 2. The scar on Harry's forehead was like a reminder that he had to be vigilant at all times. Ron is Harry's best friend, so naturally he has to take care of his emotions and follow him through thick and thin. Hermione was half. She knew that Snape was not a bad person, and she was just putting on a show when it came to spying on him, and she didn't work hard, only be a little more serious when paying attention to the trapdoor. You can often see a first-year Gryffindor sitting on the stairs reviewing what he has learned, which makes many students feel ashamed. Aaron perfectly pulled himself out of the plan, and he thought paying attention to Dumbledore was better than anything else. Hagrid is unreliable, there is no need to waste too much energy on him. Snape was his respected college professor, and there was no need for surveillance. As for the trapdoor, he very much suspected that Harry was watching the door just for peace of mind. Can they hold on to the day and can they hold on to the night? Students are not allowed to leave the dormitory in the middle of the night, but professors have this right. It is impossible for the Dark Lord to steal things aboveboard at Hogwarts, and most likely the time of action will be at night. A few days later, Aaron entered Professor Snape's office as usual. You're here again. Snape looked at Aaron speechlessly and said, once a day, every time at 9 o'clock in the morning, very punctual. No way, I'm going to Professor McGonagall's office at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's almost vacation time. What about you? Learning never ends, Professor. Any spell has its usefulness. It is the greatest tragedy for a wizard to regret that he has not learned it when he has to use a spell. I admit that what you said is very reasonable, but, don't you think you come here a little too often? Snape gritted his teeth, and pointed at the counters he had piled up on the wall. I'm struggling all kinds of rare materials that you have collected with your heart. These days you have lost 1/10 of them. Aaron scratched his head in embarrassment, and then said confidently, it's not that I won't give you money. Is it a matter of money? I am not short of money, let alone to the point where I can live by selling materials. I pay double. Aaron said lightly. Snape was stunned for a moment, his face twitched slightly, but his tone was obviously weaker. I said it's not about money. I know, it's just a student's wish, nothing else. Aaron said very sincerely, Professor, in fact, you should be happy to have a student like me. I have a success rate of more than % in concocting potions these days. Isn't the finished product given to you? After all, not only did you not lose money, but you also made a lot of money. You still have the nerve to say that? Snape's expression darkened immediately. Those materials can be prepared into higher-level potions in my hands, but you can only practice them here. 70%, do you know how much you wasted? It seems that you can succeed with any potion you mix. Aaron said weakly, but his voice was full of dissatisfaction. What did you say? Nothing, Professor. Can I ask you a little question? Go ahead. Please tell me, who has a % success rate in configuring potions? No, which famous potion master wasn't fed with ingredients? Snape was silent. He also came from his student days, so he naturally knew that there was no so-called shortcut on this road. Talent is a must, but apart from talent, you can only continue to be proficient in trying. But you are too ruthless, and you use rare materials as soon as you come up. It's not like I can't afford it. Oh. I really admire that you can say such a thing with confidence. Snape sneered, in the past few days, you have come to my office every day to prepare potions with my materials and equipment, 1 bottle a day. The bottles are not the same, some simple potions can no longer trouble you. This is amazing, your talent is almost comparable to mine, but please think about it carefully, are you really rich? All the materials you wasted add up to 300 galleons. Even Draco would not dare to squander the wealth of the Malfoy family like that. I need to remind you that what you are using now is your family's resources, not yours. It's mine. Aaron said calmly, although I am pure blood, my family is different from those ancient pure blood families. As the sole heir, I am qualified to open the family treasure house and use any resources in it. Snape's mouth twitched when he heard that, heartbroken. Why didn't he encounter such a good thing when he was a child? In contrast, I just feel that the world is full of malice towards him. Humph. Using the wealth accumulated by the family to pay for your waste, it seems nothing to be proud of. Aaron frowned slightly, and immediately expressed a little embarrassment. Actually, I opened a small shop in Diagon Alley a few years ago. In addition to the convenience of the family because of the purchase channel, the following are all done by myself, so even if I don't rely on my family, I can earn hundreds of galleons every month, and it's not a problem to make ends meet. With the accumulation of the past few years, my personal savings can barely reach 5 figures. Snape. Go out. Professor, what do you mean? Aaron asked a little puzzled, look down on businessmen. Don't put a hat on my head. Snape said angrily, I have been teaching at Hogwarts for more than 10 years, and this is the first time I have encountered a student who likes to talk back to the teacher like you. Is it interesting? I'm just telling the truth, is there something wrong with that? That's right, there's nothing wrong with it. Snape teased, it's just that it gives me the illusion that I might not be worthy of being your teacher. Aaron. Chapter 78. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Professor, I was just young and ignorant just now. Aaron handed a cup of tea to Snape very sincerely, calm down first. Snape raised an eyebrow, then took the hot tea, satisfied with Aaron's actions. What does it mean to respect teachers? This is it. Professor, can you teach me how to make Felicity elixir this time? Puff. Snape couldn't help but spit out his half-drunk tea, but Aaron seemed to have expected this scene a long time ago. After handing the tea, he took a small step to the right and avoided it perfectly. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Snape looked serious. You want to run just after learning to walk? No, this can't be described as running anymore. Before you can run, you want to fly. You'd better stop thinking about it, learn to run before you talk. Past life experience tells me that nothing can be accomplished without greed. Aaron said confidently, besides, I'm a Slytherin, shouldn't I have such thoughts? But the span is too big. Do you know how difficult it is to prepare a bottle of Felicia? Even I can't guarantee % success, and your current success rate is even less than %. What about your guidance? Aaron asked unwillingly. Having tasted the sweetness of Felicia, his desire for this potion has been raised several levels. Purchase, there is a price but no market, and almost no one in the wizarding world will sell this kind of treasure. Want it at home? There are a few bottles in the treasure house, but they can't hold this face, then you can only try to prepare it by yourself. It is better to teach people how to fish than to teach people how to fish. It is your own if you learn it. Sometimes I really want to take your heart out to see if it's really that big. Aaron took a step back immediately. Don't mess around. Cut. If I can figure it alone, there is still a chance of success, but with you, I'm afraid the success rate is less than %. Your talent is good, but the number of practice is too little. Is it that low? Just low enough. Snape said speechlessly, the ingredients to make the Felicia Felix are very scarce, even I haven't got them together. What materials are needed? I will figure out a way. Snape took a deep look at him, and then reported the materials he needed. unicorn horns, newt eggs, volcanic anhinga eggshells. While listening, Aaron wrote down these materials with a pen and paper. Half a minute later, he looked at the dense list in his hand, and a few black lines appeared on his forehead. "How do you feel?" Snape asked playfully. "You should still be confident, right?" Aaron pondered for a few seconds. "It's not a problem to get these materials, but..." After hearing the first half of the sentence, Snape was also a little uneasy. He has also wanted to prepare a bottle of Felicia over the years for emergencies, because he is the kind of person who dances on a tightrope. "I can't see it now, but there will be a danger of being smashed to pieces at any time in the future. Different identities. The role of luck will not be the same. For ordinary people, good luck is just like that. Being able to maintain a good mood for a day, but it's different. For him, maybe the critical moment can change the fate." "Can you really get these materials?" "Yes, just not much. There are at least 3 copies in my family's warehouse. I didn't know why these things were put together before, but now it seems that those are the ingredients for making Felicia." The corner of Snape's mouth twitched. The big family is amazing, but this is a bit too much. It is impossible for some pure-blood families to have a complete set of materials. "It's not like I can't make Felicia if I have the ingredients. As long as you succeed, just give me a little reward. Not much, just 1/10 of it." I don't know if it was an illusion, but Aaron actually felt a trace of eagerness in Snape's voice. After thinking for a while, he shook his head. "Professor, I'm afraid it won't work." "Then reduce it by half, 1/20th of the head office." Forehead. "Professor, you are mistaken. If it is a finished product, I still have a few large bottles in stock at home, and it is enough to drink for a day if I blow the bottle." Bang! Snape slid off his chair, regardless of how embarrassed he looked. "Do you know what you're talking about?" "I admit there is no shortage of people in the wizarding world who can concoct such a potion, and some have some in stock, but blowing on the bottle is simply a big joke. I also think it's a bit exaggerated, but it's the truth." Aaron spread his hands. "But my father said that those lucky potions can only be used when needed." "Let's not talk about that, let's talk about the materials first." Snape brought the topic back, patted the dust on his robe, sat down on the chair again, and forcefully put on his teacher's dignity. "It's like this. What I want is not the finished product, but the ability to configure Felicia. However, my fault tolerance rate is only 3 times, and according to your professor and your guidance, my current success rate is less than %, so I will postpone it for a while. At least wait until the success rate is above %. I will configure it again." Snape, is this a period of time too abstract? He may be able to accept it for a year and a half, and he can persist for 3 to 5 years. If it takes longer, he will have to give up this path. After all, he may not have that much time. Ahem. Don't be discouraged. In fact, with your talent, you can make your first attempt within 3 years. 3 years? Aaron froze for a moment. "I thought it would take a year." One year. Snape didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Aaron, I still underestimated your ambition, but you can't be too inflated. It will take at least half a year to prepare the Felicia, and you can't make any mistakes in the process, especially some key steps, so..." Before Snape finished speaking, Aaron directly put a small bottle on the table. "With this thing, you should be able to skip the so-called critical step." "This is..." Snape only looked at it for a second before his eyes widened. "Felix, where did you get it?" "That's not important, it's not bought anyway." "Of course I know I didn't buy it. What I want to ask is, can you sell it to me? The price is negotiable." Swish. Without saying a word, Aaron put away the Felicity potion on the table. "Don't even think about it. This thing is not for sale, especially now. There is also a dark devil in the school. He has no secret medicine to save his life, and he cannot give up on luck." When Snape saw this scene, a look of disappointment flashed in his eyes. "Professor, you are a master of potions after all, don't you have some stock for yourself?" Aaron asked. "Used it a long time ago and used it all at once. This works great, but the results are poor." Snape said sadly, "To be honest, I don't like to use Felicia, because it's obviously unreliable to leave everything to luck. But I have a hunch that I will be very lucky in the next period of time. Don't talk about this, don't think about Felicia. it's not something you can grasp now, it's better to keep it simple, because you don't have enough time. How about the tranquilizer? Aaron chuckled. You can go to Madame Pomfrey. Snape said meaningfully, she should have something in stock. It's different, what's mine is mine, what's the doctor's is the doctor's. Snape nodded, silently put his cauldron on the stage, and began to teach his proud student how to make a perfect potion again. A few hours later, Snape handed Aaron a bottle of tranquilizer, but he politely refused. It's agreed, the finished product is yours. Accept it. This is a reward from the teacher to the student. Snape said, by the way, I would like to remind you that your current level is just like this. This bottle of potion is not yet of the best quality. Aaron smiled awkwardly. After all, it's the first time to prepare, so I'm already content to be successful. If you think so, you will have to delay the preparation of Felicity Elixir. Snape sneered. Not necessarily. Aaron is full of self-confidence. As a person who opens up, it would be a failure if he can't even create a miracle. By the way, Professor. Before leaving the office, Aaron suddenly thought of something, turned around and asked, is Professor Dumbledore still in school? I thought you forgot. Is it interesting to ask every day? No way, mainly because of lack of security. Snape rolled his eyes. Then your question is really timely. There is a letter from the Ministry of Magic, and he needs to deal with something urgent. He set off this morning and has been walking for several hours now. He won't be back until at least tomorrow afternoon. Call. Hearing the news, Aaron let out a long breath and didn't show any panic, but just rubbed his forehead. The storm is coming, but it will come sooner or later. Chapter 79 Hagrid is unreliable. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After leaving Snape's office, Aaron walked towards the Forbidden Forest non-stop. It was no surprise that Harry and Ron were here. Hagrid watched the two distractedly in the hut. His annoying ears were covered with calluses these days. Let me emphasize again, I didn't tell the way through Mau Mau. That's good. Ron smiled heartlessly, and he was a little relieved. Hagrid, keep it up, no matter who you are or how you ask, don't say anything. It's up to you. Hagrid gave Harry a white look. Except for me and Dumbledore, I didn't tell anyone, not even the professors of the college. Not necessarily. Aaron rushed over in a hurry, staring at Hagrid with a serious face. Hagrid suddenly felt a little guilty. He didn't feel this way about other people, not even Dumbledore, but Aaron was different. His conscience felt wronged by this little wizard more than once, especially when Aaron was accompanied by a magical animal he had always wanted to study. Do I have flowers on my face? No, but, you really didn't tell me about the way through Mau Mau. No really, interrupted Ron. Harry and I remind him several times a day, and we even stop him from drinking, just in case. Hagrid's expression sank, he turned his head and glared at Ron. Bad guy. What a great time. Just bear with it for a while, and when the Philosopher's Stone is completely safe, you can get drunk. It's really optimistic, but the situation is not optimistic. What do you mean? Harry's heart skipped a beat, and the scar on his forehead burned like fire again. This time it was more severe than ever, and he grinned in pain. Did you feel it? Aaron said meaningfully, I need to tell you that Dumbledore has left Hogwarts, and he won't be back until at least tomorrow afternoon. In other words, this is the time when the school's defense is weakest. What would you do if you were a mysterious person? The opportunity is not to be missed, and it will never come again. Harry tried his best to calm himself down. The mysterious man will not let go of this opportunity, and he will act at any time before Dumbledore returns. By the way, Snape now. Professor Snape is staying in the office well. Aaron said speechlessly, and you should be concerned about other things now. Harry nodded, and looked at Hagrid with a heavy heart. Hagrid, think about it carefully, did you really not tell other people how to pass Mau Mau? How many times do I need to say, no, no? Okay. I hope I'm needless to worry. Aaron couldn't stand it anymore. It's strange that asking questions in such a straightforward way can be useful. Hagrid, after the Sorcerer's Stone came to Hogwarts, Did any strangers come to you?" That when Harry and Ron heard this, their hearts immediately went cold. They finally realized what they had overlooked. They didn't know the existence of Nicole Flamel until they stayed in the school for a long time, and they didn't know that there was a philosopher's stone in the school. And the mysterious man probably tried to get a trick from Hagrid after the sorcerer's stone arrived at the school, and he might have known the way to pass Mau a long time ago. However, the two still kept a little bit of luck. After all, in their opinion, Hagrid was very reliable. Hagrid hesitated for a moment. "Not at school, but sometimes when I go out to drink, I inevitably meet some strangers." "Hagrid, did anyone ask you about Hogwarts while you were drinking?" "Maybe I mentioned it." Hagrid said indifferently, "I often go to that bar to drink, and many people know my identity." "Is it okay?" "Strangers, the point is strangers." Aaron reminded, "It is best to be those who are sneaky, have ghosts in their hearts, and are not good people at first sight." Hagrid frowned and recalled for a long time, then pondered, "There is a man who is tightly wrapped, even tighter than Abe, and I can't even see his face clearly, but he was really a nice guy, and he kept asking the boss to serve me wine." Aaron looked at Harry Potter with some sympathy, and then put the newly prepared potion in front of him. "Drink it first." "What is this?" "Tranquilizer." Ron could take a few breaths if he needed to. At this time, there is no harm in drinking. Ron swallowed, waved his hand and said, I don't need it." Harry smiled bitterly, did not refuse Aaron's kindness, opened the bottle and drank it all in one go. He also felt that he needed to be calm, otherwise Hagrid might vomit blood after a while. Aaron continued to ask, "And then? Did he just buy you a drink?" "I can't remember what happened after that. By the way, Norbert was the one who lost to me." Hagrid said excitedly and proudly, "I've always wanted a dragon, and he happened to have dragon eggs." "Yeah." Harry gritted his teeth. "Now that I think about it, this kind of coincidence must have been premeditated." "Harry, you can't think of everyone as a bad guy." Hagrid patted him on the shoulder and said patiently, "That man is really not a bad guy. The ability to deal with fire dragons, after all, the destructive power of a dragon is huge. At that time, I told him that I can handle Mau, and a fire dragon is nothing at all." Harry took a deep breath. His mood was easily calmed down under the effect of the sedative. "Is he very interested in Mau?" "Of course, even magicians rarely have the opportunity to see a three-headed dog." I told him then that the trick to dealing with a beast is knowing how to keep it quiet, just like Mau, give it some music and he falls asleep. After Hagrid finished speaking, his pupils constricted suddenly. "I shouldn't have told you." "Yeah. But you just told a suspicious stranger. It's really funny." Aaron rubbed his forehead speechlessly. "I knew you were unreliable. Also, I don't agree with your tips on dealing with beasts, because some beasts don't necessarily like music. For example, let Abe choose one of music and chicken legs, and he will choose the latter without hesitation." "Don't discuss this yet." Harry stood up suddenly. "We have to act quickly. Go to Professor McGonagall first. She is the only one who can help us now." Ron nodded and ran out after Harry, but halfway through the run, he suddenly turned around. "Aaron, won't you go with us?" "You guys go." "I'll go to the trapdoor first, without evidence, whether Professor McGonagall will believe you or not." Ron froze for a moment, didn't say anything, and continued to run wildly with Harry. After the two left, Aaron looked at Hagrid playfully. "You must know what you did wrong, right?" "Understood." Hagrid lowered his head with a frustrated look on his face. "I'll go with you to find Professor McGonagall." "No need." Aaron patted the giant's generous shoulder. "I will convince Professor McGonagall. As for you, there should be a way to notify Dumbledore." "It doesn't matter if you don't." "He went to the Ministry of Magic in London. He must have been gone for several hours." "You are faster than an owl. Try to stop him halfway." No, we all need this White Lord back as soon as possible, understand?" "Understood." Hagrid nodded solemnly, and immediately pulled out his umbrella from under the table. A few minutes later, there was a roar outside the hut, and a red motorcycle soared into the sky. Aaron watched Hagrid disappear into the clouds, heaved a long sigh, and walked towards the castle. His destination was the trapdoor, and no matter what time it was, This door was always the focus. Compared with Harry and the others, he was much calmer. He didn't think Voldemort would do it during the day, and the best time to steal was in the dead of night. But the whole card can only be used once, just in case. He has to see it with his own eyes to rest assured. Corridor on the 3rd floor. Hermione was guarding here with a pile of books, pretending to be studying seriously, but her eyes glanced up from time to time, for fear that someone would sneak into the corridor on the 4th floor while she was not paying attention. You really don't have 300 taels of silver here. Aaron's voice suddenly sounded behind her, startling Hermione. Why did you come here? There's been a little accident, and I think I'll have to go in and have a look. No need. No one came here today. Besides, there was a 3-headed dog inside, which was very scary. Seeing is believing. It may not be useful to guard here. Aaron said meaningfully, and walked up the steps on his own. Hermione didn't have time to stop him, and followed behind him in a strange way. A few minutes later, the two came to a door. Araho cave is open. A lock-unlocking spell was thrown, and the keyhole opened automatically. Aaron took a deep breath and pushed open the door. As soon as I walked in, I saw a black 3-headed dog that almost occupied half of the room slowly opened its eyes. My God! This is too fierce. Much better than what you read in the book. Roar! Abe growled in disbelief. Of course. Aaron patted Abe's dragon head. You will definitely grow bigger than it in the future. Chapter 80. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mau Mau stood up slowly, looking at the two wizards in front of him with a few yellow eyes, and a lot of mucus was secreted from the 3 huge dog mouths. As it breathed, a stench quickly spread in the room. Aaron, I think we have to run, said Hermione nervously. You're right. Aaron started to step back. He was less than 1 meter away from the door, but at this moment it seemed to be the most dangerous distance in the world. Wong, wong, wong. As soon as the words fell, Mau Mau let out a deafening roar. Boom. Before it came to bite, the two backed out, quickly closed the door and blocked the huge dog's head back. It's exciting. Aaron breathed a sigh of relief. I really admire Hagrid now. He actually tamed such a ferocious creature. Exciting? Hermione was out of breath. I should have stopped you just now. Did you know that we almost died? Being killed by dogs is definitely the biggest joke since Hogwarts was founded. Sorry. Aaron smiled embarrassingly, and he also felt that he was a little ill-considered. He knew how to calm Mau Mau, but he came here without any preparation. Now can you tell me why you want to go in and see? Dumbledore has left the school. Aaron said, in other words, Hogwarts is not as safe as you think. The mysterious person may pass through the trap door at any time. Hermione's pupils dilated slightly. This is really bad news. Do Harry and the others know? I told them, just 10 minutes ago. To make matters worse though, Hagrid told a stranger about the Momo method shortly after school started. What? Hermione panicked immediately. So, the mysterious man has already made all the preparations, so he just needs to act. Yes, he will certainly act before Dumbledore returns. At this time, Harry and Ron also rushed over. Both of them were out of breath, and their faces were not very good looking. TSK. 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 Aaron curled his lips, playing with taste. I guess, Professor McGonagall doesn't believe you. Yes. Harry nodded disappointedly. Not only did she not believe us, she also scolded us severely. Thanks for the sedative, otherwise I might have contradicted the professor. You're welcome. I don't believe it if it's me, and I may deduct dozens of points from you as a punishment. First of all, the Philosopher's Stone is a school secret. How do you know? Second, how do you know that someone will steal it? Again, the Sorcerer's Stone is strictly protected, and almost every professor has designed mechanisms for it. You can't just rely on your one-sided words and ask a professor of daily science to check it out, so why not dismantle all the organs? The most important thing is that even Professor McGonagall may not know how to crack all the mechanisms. Just the 3-headed dog guarding the trapdoor is not so easy to pass. You have been pestering Hagrid for most of the semester, and he just accidentally leaked it today. But, if the professor doesn't help us, then no one can help us. Harry said worriedly. There's always a way, at least the trapdoor is safe for now. Aaron shrugged, we still have a certain amount of time before the mysterious man acts. Yes, there is still time. Harry suddenly thought of something, his eyes flashed brightly, as long as we get the Philosopher's Stone before Voldemort. Pfft. Aaron smiled disdainfully, and then saw the puzzled eyes of the three Gryffindors. Ahem. Don't get me wrong, I'm also trained to not laugh, no matter how funny, unless I can't help it, ha ha ha. Aaron. Hermione tugged at his sleeve, you should at least restrain yourself. Is there something wrong with my plan? Harry asked a little angrily. No problem at all. Aaron's expression gradually became serious, it's just so stupid that people can't help but laugh. What do you mean? Ron said unconvinced, you'd better explain clearly. Oh. So there is more than one idiot. Aaron rolled his eyes speechlessly, then pointed to the wooden door, go in. I won't stop you. No, Momo will kill us. Hermione said hastily. That's what I mean, you can't even get through a trapdoor, and you want to get the Philosopher's Stone before you know who. Courage is commendable, but don't say that I know you when I go out in the future, it will appear that I have a low IQ. That three-headed dog can't stop us, just some music can quiet it down. What about, the music? Aaron asked playfully. Ron was stunned for a moment, and said awkwardly, we haven't had time to prepare yet. Then it's over, you want to go in without preparing anything, it's pure death, unless you plan to sing in front of a ferocious three-headed dog, don't be ridiculous, it will only die faster, and... Aaron paused for a moment, and said seriously, even if you have prepared music, it's probably useless, Mau Mau is just a gatekeeper, there will be a second pass, a third pass, and even the nth pass, are you sure you can break through the mechanism designed by the professor? This. Harry suddenly felt depressed and helpless, and the scar on his forehead became hot again, hiss. Harry? Ron asked, looking at him worriedly. I'm fine. Harry rubbed the scar on his forehead, and smiled wryly, but we really don't have much time, and we have to come up with a way to stop Voldemort as soon as possible. Aaron hesitated for a few seconds, and said, I suggest you not do unnecessary things. The water behind that door is too deep for you to grasp. I know, but it's better than sitting still, Voldemort will definitely not let me go, either stop him or die sometime later than now, I don't want to die, and I don't want to join the Dark Lord, so I have no other choice. If you believe me. Aaron comforted, I am sure to stop the mysterious man. You? Not to mention Harry, even Hermione and Ron didn't believe it. How are you going to stop him? Harry asked. Don't worry about it, anyway, I'm sure, just leave everything to me. Aaron was very confident. He had been waiting for today since accepting the system task. Harry and the others were not prepared at all, but he was quite well prepared, and he could do it alone without the three Gryffindors. If it wasn't for the task that required him to make great efforts to kill Voldemort, he wouldn't mind planning carefully, and then he would be a qualified sixth child safely. So how sure are you? Harry asked. A conservative estimate, about %. Aaron slightly lowered his chances of winning. He was confident in destroying Voldemort's plan, but it might be difficult to kill him, after all, he is the Dark Lord, who knows if he will have any unknown cards. Only %. Ron asked with wide-eyed eyes, obviously not very satisfied with this winning percentage. That's too little. How about you come? Ron fell silent for a moment, he knew how much he weighed, if it was him, not to mention, %, not even, %, sure, the probability of being sent away with one move is not so high. It's too risky. Hermione shook her head, then looked at Aaron, do you have any plans? The plan is to keep it secret, in short, you can trust me, and you must trust me. Aaron said, and then walked out of the corridor on his own. After Aaron left, the three looked at each other. I think Aaron is quite confident, or... Ron didn't finish, but he believed Harry and Hermione understood him. No. Hermione said immediately. I also think it's unreliable to entrust him alone. Harry sighed, I'll stick to the original plan and get the Philosopher's Stone before the mysterious man. Back in the common room, the three gathered around a table. On the table is an ordinary flute, playing it can quiet Mau Mau. Harry, what are you going to do? Hermione asked. We have no idea what's behind the trapdoor. Then you have to give it a try your best. Start to act tonight, when the students are asleep. Tonight? Ron opened his mouth. Since we don't know what's behind that door, why didn't we act sooner? We have to do some preparations. Hermione said speechlessly, at least we have to take a rest, otherwise the organ will probably lose its strength if it is half broken. Goo! Ron's stomach growled untimely, and he said with some embarrassment, I was too anxious just now, so I didn't have time to eat lunch, but it also just shows that what you said makes sense. Hee. Hermione rolled her eyes, I have to review the spells I've learned as soon as possible, maybe I can use them. And the invisibility cloak, Harry reminded. Night action is impossible without it.